Welcome back to Full Beans, and on today's episode, we have Paul,
The man, the myth, the legend, Paul.
the volunteer marshal who gave us a lot of time.
Way more time than he needed to. Super kind, super chill dude.
Thank you very much.
He gave us a different perspective of what side of racing that a lot of people don't
The
see.
volunteer marshal side.
Yeah, so we want to thank Paul. We want to thank his Dutch friend as well. And here is the interview with Paul.
Yeah, so we're here with
Paul.
Paul here, and he's a volunteer
Yeah, from Chicago.
from Chicago. And tell us a little bit of how you got into this line of, volunteering.
I've been following racing in Wisconsin at Road America, which I think is probably the best road track in the country. It's a 4-mile track. I was just a guest up there, basically, going to a lot of different races. And then in the 1990s, if I dare say, I started getting involved with working in the paddock and gained experience working with race teams and stuff and crowd control, basically, and lining up the cars and all that. And then a friend of mine got into doing the Austin Formula One race, and he put a good word in for me, and I filled out my racing resume, if you will, that explained all the races that I worked at, and that got me into working my first Formula One race, which is in Austin in 2013. Okay. And then been working Austin every year except for the COVID years when they didn't have it. But from that, you learn how to meet people. Like my friend Arjen, he's from the Netherlands. He came over. I invited him. He roomed with us in Austin last October with my other friend who, he's an intervention guy. If there's a crash or something on the circuit, he'll go out and help clean up the mess and all that. But Arjen stayed with us, and then I invited him to come here to Long Beach. So you start networking with people, and you have the opportunity to work with a lot of different people around the world. I mean, the people that come to Austin and Miami, they come from Australia, the UK, France, Ireland. So you get to know them, and then you put your name and say, gee, I'd like to work, the Silverstone race or whatever. So you network that way. So I sort of grown, and this will be my third year. I'm going to Miami first week in May. That'll be my third race there. I did Las Vegas last November, got picked for that. That was crazy. Everything runs at night, all the practice, the qualifying.
So you were there for the the manhole incident.
Oh yeah. In fact, that was probably the worst night because they kept on trying to figure out, well, how many
Yeah, they kept
potholes,
postponing
how
it,
many,
or they kept looking at other ones.
right, because they had like 30 of them, and they had to figure out, well, how are we gonna secure 30 of them? I don't know why they didn't think of that ahead of time, but anyway.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, so they had to patch every one because they didn't know which ones might get pulled up.
Yeah.
So they kept deferring the practice, and of course, it's a new track. The drivers had never driven it before, and they certainly wanted to make sure the drivers felt comfortable driving it. So the first practice got pushed back. It was supposed to be like 10 o'clock Thursday night, and it finally started at 2:30, in the morning.
Yeah,
so
we were there waiting.
you were there.
Waiting. Yeah, we were there waiting.
Did they kick you out?
No, we
were
weren't
able to stay.
We didn't buy tickets for
Okay.
Friday. It was
Okay.
kind of a last minute thing, and we decided, hey, let's go. So we went, and we were there. We were in the city. We were right there in front of the Venetian, watching, and we were waiting and waiting. I had my phone out. I was one of the only one. Everyone was crowding around because I had my phone out, seeing, okay, when is the practice starting? When is the practice starting? When is the practice starting? And then I think we ended up going home. We ended up going to the room.
Well, they had a deadline, a drop dead time to finish because they had to reconvert the roads back to public use again. So they needed 2 hours to do that. So every day they closed it for 2 hours to get it ready for the race, and then they reopened it like 6 o'clock in the morning. So anyway, if I'm talking too much, let me know.
No. It's very interesting to hear this side. We don't hear too much of this side. We see a lot of the at Drive to Survive. We get the racer's perspective, and but we don't get any of the volunteer perspective, which is a super interesting perspective.
You work rain or shine, so you got to have rain gear. But I think I can only remember one day that it's rained here in Long Beach.
Yeah.
All the 15 plus years I've been doing it, so that's always nice. The weather's always great. That's one reason I like to come back too. But yeah, we work in the pit lane. We're assigned usually to a garage. We often rotate. So usually, like for the Las Vegas race, I got to stand in front of the Ferrari garage, and I had Red Bull on my left and Mercedes on the right. And Rihanna was in the Ferrari garage, and I was like 40 feet from her. So you see, if you like that
See the
kind
stars.
of stuff, you see the stars and all that. And
I think you're the star.
I'm just a volunteer.
No. I think it's an unsung heroes of the racing world.
Shaq walked right by us, and is he huge? Oh my God! And he's wide and tall. So you see people like that, but it's just taking in the glitz, the glamour, and everything. And Formula One puts on a top-notch show all the time. I'm always impressed with their videos, the message they put on their website all the time is everything is positive and upbeat, and you can see why they're popular.
What are your thoughts on being able to grow Indy, and what do you think about the Indy side of the race world?
I've been following Indy ever since, the 60s or 70s, maybe the 70s, I guess.
When it was Champ, and Kart and Champ.
That's what it was out here too.
Yeah.
And the series, even though it's in its 50th year or whatever, is still sort of a fledgling series in my view. If you compare it to Formula One,
of
they're
course.
just two different levels. So the thing that works, I think, well for Formula One is the show they put on, the racetracks they have on TV. I think you look at a Formula One track and it's pristine. I mean, the runoff areas, everything's painted nicely. The grass and the stands are, it's really nice, a visual effect. I think that draws a lot of people in, and certainly Long Beach is a good draw.
Yeah, I think
IndyCar,
it's one of the most well-attended Indy races.
Right. So, and they're trying to, I think, still satisfy every kind of race fan because they have ovals and they have road courses and street courses. Might be too much, and then they have a hard time maintaining the consistency from one year to the next. They often swap tracks for whatever reason, so it's hard to grow a fan base, I think, when you have such diversity, year after year. Whereas, there's some new tracks coming on in Formula One and all that. In fact, there's a rumor there might be a Formula One race in Chicago.
Yeah, I've heard rumblings.
That would be fantastic along the lakefront. It would really show off Chicago very well.
I don't know if you saw the NASCAR race in Chicago.
I didn't.
It looked like there could be some improvements. I don't know if on a road course.
Well,
it looks like there could be some improvements.
They had too many right turns, so the car's going to get up to speed because they'd have to brake.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it was too rectangular in my view.
Yeah, it was. So it looks like they could improve the track layout a little bit.
And the weather course was lousy. So
we on our channel we've talked about better ways to improve Indy, like you're saying, the consistency with maybe livery simplifications.
Right.
Part-time drivers get a little confusing when you're talking about the Indy 500 and there's another 10 drivers on the field. But yeah, I mean,
it's a spec series too, so the cars are basically the same. So in contrast to Formula One, I think it really shows the skill level of the drivers, because they're competing against themselves.
Agreed.
The cars are not really competing against each other.
100% agreed.
And Formula One is so the reverse. Red Bull, they got great car designers and engineers and everybody. They build a great car and they win consistently. So feather in their cap for that.
Yeah,
so
agreed 100%.
It's hard to compare, and people ask me, well, what does an IndyCar look like, or a Formula One car? And I try to relate it all the time to what you see on TV for the Indy 500. If they don't watch racing, because they don't understand, what do you mean it's an open cockpit, open wheel kind of thing, and you have to describe it. So, and then I tell them things like, a Formula One car can go from 0 to 100 back down to 0 in 6 seconds, and they're just amazed.
Yeah,
I mean,
like the cars are amazing.
And you can drive it on the ceiling if you had a building long
theoretically,
enough.
Which I think we're getting to the point where we got to throw that in the track. A little upside, a loop. We got to throw in a loop.
Would be unbelievable.
We got to throw something like that on a track. I think we're getting to the point with the halo and everything. I think it's okay. We can try it.
Well, I still think IndyCar's got it over Formula One in that regard because they have the plexiglass.
The visor,
windshield. Yeah, and that really protects the drivers. Whereas you have the halo that protects the Formula One cars in case one car piles on another or it flips. You need that extra protection for the driver. So maybe one day they'll put plexiglass in Formula One cars. I
think we have mentioned that exact point on our channel where we think Indy has a better setup because obviously it's not blocking the view with that centerpiece. Additionally, debris and stuff for F1 is easily come in.
Tragic when Justin Wilson was killed by that nut or whatever it was that was flying at him at 200 miles an hour.
Exactly.
What's his name? Massey, Brazilian Formula One driver. His name escapes me. He got hit once too, because there was nothing protecting him. But he got hit in the helmet. And he wasn't severely injured.
Oh,
But
Felipe Massa, I think.
sorry, thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
you're right. Massa, how could
Yeah,
I forget?
yeah,
World champion, or almost world champion.
Yeah, close, no
Close,
cigar.
very close, right?
That's when we had our more of a strict driving orders.
There you go. So, yeah. Anything else?
I mean, I was gonna ask you some questions, but I think you're gonna. I don't know
Okay.
if you'd smoke the questions. They're pretty simple questions,
Okay.
but you know, for the average fan.
Okay, can answer the best I can. You know.
I mean,
don't
if you
know
want to go for
everything.
it, it's up to you. Honest, I don't want to take up too much of your time.
I just quickly describe what we do in the pit lane.
Oh,
then.
perfect.
Okay. Yeah. So there's at a race like Miami or Austin, there's about 40 to 42 of us that are called PPG marshals, pit paddock grid marshals. Okay, we just call ourselves pit lane. It's a little bit easier. Then you don't have to explain the acronym. But so we work in the pit lane. We're pretty much sort of in charge of what goes on the pit lane to a certain degree. We walk the pit lane periodically because the teams will be working on the cars and they'll drop little washers and nuts and bolts. You want to pick all that stuff up so it doesn't puncture the tires. Okay.
Interesting that they're not more aware of that kind of.
I know. Well,
debris.
they do a pretty good job, but yet there's always something that gets left behind. Okay.
'Cause I work in aerospace, and that's something called FOD, which is like there can be no sort of tape left on parts, like nuts, washers. So I would think at the pinnacle of racing, they would have a more strict policy on that.
Well, no, it's basically us sort of doing that, picking up garbage along the pit wall
They
and
say we
stuff
got
like
to start
that.
Paul over here to take care of that.
Oh yeah, right. I'm going to work wonders, right? No, I don't think so. But the highlight of the weekend, of course, is Sunday for the race. So 20 of us will get picked. Will be assigned to a driver based on the qualification. You know, so you're given a number of 6. You have whoever is in position 6, for example, and it could change at the last minute. So you're not really assigned to a driver. You're really assigned to a starting position. So you know you have to know where to go, because when about 45 minutes before the race starts, the 20 of us go out on the track. We stand on a corner there's a white line that separates the track from the field. You know, the grass, could be grass field or the tarmac or whatever, and back. So we stand on that, pointing at an angle to our driver. Okay, so they do the formation lap. They come around. The teams work on the cars. So you're looking at the driver all the time, especially as the clock starts ticking down, because there's a whole series of lights that flashes, you know, and it's very synchronized. It's in terms of when the teams have to step away from the car. So 15 seconds before the formation lap, everybody has to step away. All the team members have to step away from the car. Usually by that time there's just a skeleton crew, but we all stand on the white line. Okay, so then we look at our driver, because he might stall. They got the engine running and all that. They're waiting for the lights to go off for the formation lap. So it's a little bit tense for him because he wants to make sure he doesn't stall. Okay, if he does stall, we have a yellow flag that we wave so the race director can see that my car, for example, stalled. Okay, now the driver may go like this, he gets it started again, so then you put the flag down. So there's a few 10 seconds there, but then the formation lap, they go around the track, and as they're going around the track, the rest of the team members, plus us 20 marshals, run behind the pit lane wall, and the 20 of us each have a little control panel that's attached to the fence, and we stand in a position where we can see our driver when he comes to his starting grid position. There's a little hole in the fence, basically, and we watch, and as soon as he arrives there, then we press a green button that tells the race director your driver is good to go. If the driver waves his hand and he stalls, then you press a yellow button. That sends a ripple effect down to all the other drivers, letting them know that my driver has stalled. Now he might wave his hands again, and if he does, he gets the car started. You press the yellow button to turn it off. So, and then after that, you watch the race. It's the best seat in the house. You watch all the pit stops. You got the TV monitor above you. You know, it's great. And then after the race, we all rush towards the podium and stand underneath the podium. And haven't gotten sprayed with champagne yet, but
it's on the list. It's on the bucket list.
It's on, yeah. But you stick around for the podium, the finish at the end. So that's what it's like and spending a weekend at a Formula One race.
Well, I mean, I thank you very much. I mean, I don't know what else kind of information we can get.
Most of it.
I mean, I don't want to take up too much time, but it's very interesting to see that side.
So I like to talk to others about it.
No, I mean, and that's
get them enthused about it too.
I mean, and that's the whole point of our channel. We try to we're called Full Beans.
Okay.
So it's a joke, and we're just trying to grow the racing world, especially here in the States.
Sure.
You see that it's growing through F1, through Drive to Survive and everything, but we're trying to push, the other series that are around.
Because it's an American series.
Exactly, and what, like we were mentioning, I think off camera, was we're trying to grow so that more American, Canadian, Mexican, North American drivers have a path towards F1.
Okay.
But
Well, good luck.
I think Paul's gonna put in a good word for me. We're gonna see if you can see us on the behind the scenes on some volunteer work.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, thank you very much, Paul.
Okay, thanks. Have a good day. Good luck.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Should I put makeup on or anything?
I mean, we do have a makeup department, but I think they're a little bit. They did the best on me, and it's not that good.
I can tell.